Hello, beloved ones. Thank you so much for joining me today. And today we're going to keep going on our series in talking about stories, your stories. And in the last video, part 1, I spoke about, in general, what stories are, how they're created, and how you maintain them by your unconsciousness, your sometimes your reactions, and today I want to focus on more about how you maintain them, but also the impact that they have on your life, right? So, as I said in the last video, stories are not a bad thing. Your whole world is made up of stories. It's how you all convey an idea. It's how you often convey emotion. It's how you convey your opinions, how you describe your experiences. They all have that element of story. Whether the story is about a mathematical equation, or the hero's journey, or your own experience at work that day, right? Story is what makes up human interaction. In some ways, you could say that it's what really gives you that sense of connection, community, civilization, that you all are coming together to agree on a particular story. So in the country of the United States, the story that you agree on is about democracy and about having certain freedoms, certain rights, that all people have these same rights. Now, not everyone who lives in the United States agrees with those rights, but overall, the collective agrees upon a certain story, and that story tends to define you, right? So the United States is known as a democracy. It is known as a country that believes in the equality of all people. It is believes that everyone should have freedom, right? Freedom of speech, freedom of self-expression, all these wonderful things. Now, that's a story that, or a narrative that everyone at the time agreed upon, or most people. They said, yes, we want to adopt this story as our own story. We want to make this the larger story. Yes, it's my personal story, but I also want it to be the larger story, right? So different countries, different religions, different cultures, even what you eat at certain times, right? In America, the Thanksgiving feast with turkey, that's a story. It's a story that everyone agrees upon. Having Christmas trees at Christmas time, singing Christmas carols, giving gifts at Christmas, exchanging gifts. This is all part of a story that people agree to. And sometimes you want to change the story. Maybe you don't like turkey and you don't want to serve turkey at your Thanksgiving celebration. You might want to keep parts of the story. You like the idea of giving thanks, having a day of gratitude. You like having your family get together for a meal, but you don't want turkey. So you serve something else instead, right? You modify the story. There is the collective story that says turkey is to be served on Thanksgiving. But you want to change that story a little bit to reflect your personal story. And part of your personal story is you don't like turkey. You don't like eating it, or you don't like cooking it, or you don't like serving it at Thanksgiving. So you want to change that story and modify it enough to reflect who you are as a person, your own likes, your own needs, your own desires. So each one of you that are here on the planet at this time, you have adopted or integrated certain stories that are a part of the cultural narrative. And as individuals, sometimes that story resonates with you and sometimes it doesn't. Or maybe it resonated with you for many, many years and then all of a sudden it doesn't. And it's time to change the story. It's time to refine or rewrite certain parts of it so that it is a better reflection of who you are as an individual. So I want you to take that much, much deeper. And let's go back to the first example that I gave in the other video, the first video, about self-esteem. So maybe you are, at this time, you were born into biologically the female sex. Maybe that's not how you identify yourself, but biologically you are born as a woman, as a girl, as a female. So right away, regardless of what you think or what you identify with or even who you are inside, because of a particular genitalia that you are born with, you are right away, because of the cultural narrative, you are put in a particular box, right? And if you are born with the male genitalia, the biological male genitalia, you are put in another box. And if you are born with both, you are put in another box, right? And each box comes with its own story, culturally, right? And every one of those stories has limitations. It has certain boundaries that you are not supposed to cross or even question. And oftentimes, a lot of the people, they do just fine with that story. They adopt that as their own, they integrate it, and they don't have any desire or need to change that story. But then there are people like yourself, and you would not be here listening to my videos if you are not the type of person who needed, who yearned to redefine certain parts of their story, their personal story. So let's say you're put in that female box, right? Well, because of thousands of years of cultural narrative story that women are inferior to men, right there, that story, if you grow up and identify as a woman, right there, that story impacts your personal story. And it's very hard to say, no, that's not my story at all. I will not live it. I will not breathe it. I will not act or react from that story. I don't claim it in any way, shape, or form. That's not easy to do. It's possible, but it's not easy. So if you think about all the stories outside of you that contributed to the way you feel about your self-esteem, and add to that maybe things you brought in from past lives to resolve in this life, your own innate personality, when you add all that together, that's what makes up your story about what you deserve. Your self-esteem level, your self-confidence, your self-worth. But all stories can be changed, beloved ones. It is not easy, but it is utterly possible. And sometimes you decide along the way that certain stories have to be kept in place in order for you to be safe. Stories about self-worth, self-esteem, self-confidence can be pivotal in a personal understanding about safety. What's safe, what isn't safe, what feels okay, what doesn't feel okay. But again, these are more stories. You can't live without stories. They'll always be part of your life. They'll always be part of how you express yourself, how you listen to others express themselves, regardless of the arena. So what we want to do together is to make sure that you are aware of your stories and how to go about the process of refining those stories and writing a story, creating a story, maintaining a story that is much more reflective of who you are as a whole. Your beliefs about love, equality, freedom. We want to make sure that you're in alignment with yourself, the way you are now, today. And not a fantasy self, right? Not a pretend self, not who you want to be some point in the future, but who you are right now. So these next 2 weeks, I'd like you to go a little deeper than just observing all the general stories, right? And I want you to find a particular story, one story. It could be about anything. But it's a story that you recognize needs to be rewritten. Or maybe just edited. Try not to think in black and white, that you have to rewrite the whole story or come up with a whole new story. No. Think about it as rewriting or refinement or editing, right? So in some way you can just feel that the story you've been maintaining is not serving you. It may even be causing you a lot of problems. So take some time these next 2 weeks, write it down. Write down, even if you just write down the story you want to revise, meaning your story about self-esteem, your story about safety, the story of your body, your physical body, the story of a relationship. You just have to write down my relationship with so-and-so, the story of my body, the story of safety, right? Whatever. But make sure that you are clear. There might be a lot of stories that you want to refine, but please, just for now, just choose one, because you can utilize this to go back and use it for all your stories, all right? Meditate, feel it out, notice what feels as though it's ready to be refined. It's easy to maintain your stories because it's all story. Your life, everyone's lives, individually, collectively. So it's easy to maintain stories because everyone is maintaining stories. And when I say stories, I don't mean fiction. This is real to all of you. This is important. And it matters. So this is not some little trifle that I'm placing before you. Be thoughtful, take your time, feel it out, get as clear as you can be, just make a choice. What do you want to focus on? And we'll move forward in the next video. I love you. Namaste. Hi, it's Danielle, creator and founder of Beloved Publications, your home of Mother Mary's teachings as they're channeled through me. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to our channel and leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. If you're interested in more of Mother's teachings, please visit our website, www.belovedpublications.com. And there you'll find lots of great ways of connecting with Mother. And if you want to join our community, you get an awesome free mini course on preparing for and connecting with your spirit guides. You will love it. So I hope to see you there soon. Thanks so much.